Welcome back to the Aligned and Unstoppable podcast. I'm Emily Aarons, and this is episode number 422. So this episode is going to be broadcast in February, which we know is the month of love and Valentine's Day. Obviously, Black History Month as well. But on the topic of love, I know sometimes for folks, we kind of also get the shadow side that comes in, which can sometimes be heartache or grief. And just this morning, I was interviewed for the For Better Self and Net Worth podcast. And while we started talking about intuition, we quickly kind of segued into talking about dreams, which then opened up the conversation about talking about animals and spirit. So I thought, because I am definitely a pet loving gal. I have a dog, I have goats, chickens, and ducks. I love the conversation about animal communication. And while I'm not the expert on animal communication, this is a podcast episode where I want to talk about, sort of what happens when our pets die. And is there a way that we can tap into their connection, both for ourselves as well as perhaps for our business? Doesn't that sound like a weird topic? I think so too, but I also think it's kind of interesting. So if you are a pet person, please take a screenshot of this and tag me in your Instagram stories. And would you include a picture of your four-legged pet friends? Our fur babies are so special and precious to us. And I know inside of the Mastery and Ascension membership, we are oftentimes sharing pet memes or just like flooding our group with pictures of our fur babies. And I am not mad about it. I love talking about pets. And even my team, like we share pictures of our dogs. So anyway, let's talk about when our pets cross over, what happens, and is there a way that we can connect with them and communicate with them? So I've been lucky enough to have several animals. My beloved pet, Scooby, was with me in my 20s and went through a lot of changes and transitions and just life things happening. Then I, got married, had a couple kids, and we also had some dog siblings. He was always an only child until I got together with my husband, Andrew, 10 years ago. And suddenly he had a brother and a sister, which did not work out very well initially. We had to hire behavioral experts so that they could get along and coexist. And they end up loving each other. And my husband's dogs, Kaiser and Jada, crossed over before my dog Scooby did. He was the last of the trio. And when we lose a pet, for folks who are not pet people, this is really not the episode for you. But when we lose our pets, our dogs, our cats, whatever other animals we are having, it's a lot. And pet loss and grief is, I feel like, an talked about experience, and it's traumatic. And that pain, trauma that we're experiencing internally can absolutely have an impact on our businesses. If your energy is low or you're going through all the different stages of grief, it's really hard to put yourself out there, especially when you feel like a part of you, a family member, your best friend who was always there by your side and cheering you on and supporting you and excitedly celebrating your victories with you, is suddenly not there. And it's hard. So I want to share a personal story of when my dog Scooby crossed over, and really the progression of, since that happened, what is my relationship with him now? And the very bizarre ways that he has showed up to support me and my business. So it was August of 2021 when he told me he was ready to go. And I found a pet, now I can't think of the word all of a sudden. Hospice, there it is. Pet hospice locally who could come to my house and cross him over with me. And that whole process was really beautiful. So I highly recommend, if you need to put down your beloved animals, I highly recommend doing it at home, for the reason that it's a very sacred and special ritual and process. Unlike our other dogs, my husband's dogs, we went to the veterinary clinic, and it was, walking in there knowing what's going to happen is like basically one of the worst feelings in the world. And then walking out without your baby is awful. Like having to walk through a waiting room is agony. And so somehow it came to my awareness that there was this thing with pet hospice, and I reached out. They were wonderful on the phone. They were wonderful setting it up. They were wonderful when they showed up, and the vet was just so loving. And so when it was that day, I had scheduled it, and then it was just a lot of anxiety and that feeling like I couldn't work that day at all, knowing what was going to happen to, my dog. And so I asked Scooby, said, where do you want to go? And he showed me in my mind's eye. And I think that's one of the first ways that our animals talk to us, like, I don't know about you, but I'm constantly narrating my pets. So like, if I'm about to go in the kitchen, they look at me like, hey, you're not going to feed me too. Like, I will literally say out loud the thoughts that they are, what I am assuming that they are having. But I also feel like we have that mental telepathy. We have these connections where we know when our cat or our dog looks at us a certain way or is doing something. And, like I said, in my membership, Mastering Ascension, I have members who post pictures of them with their cats, and they've got puffy eyes and said, my cat was here for me when I had this huge emotional release through one of Emily's recent meditations. I just had this enormous shift, and my cat was with me the whole time. And it's like that, we have that, we know that they're there for us. They know that they're taking care of us. We know that they're giving us that extra love and support in the physical. So, logically, like, why wouldn't that happen if they're not physically here? I mean, so, so my dog, he said he showed me a picture in my mind in the backyard is where he wanted to go, under the trees. It was a summer day, and he wanted to be near the goats. And so when the vet came, I told her where we want to be set up, and she set up a beautiful picnic blanket, and we just took our time. And the process was really beautiful and memorable and sacred. And part of the process for me was being able to allow him to go in peace in the way that he wanted to go. And then another part of the ritual was very cleansing and nurturing and healing for my husband, because like I said, we had these clinical procedures for his two dogs. So it was giving him an opportunity to, rightfully grieve the loss of his two in our home, in our yard with our other dog who was crossing over, and just to process those feelings. And, he had some feelings of guilt that came up, that's like, well, why didn't I do it this way then? And I said, well, we didn't know. We did the best we could. And so this is an opportunity not to feel guilt about it, but just to connect with the dogs again in spirit. And so that night, when I lay down in bed, it was a heavy day, of course, but when I lay down in bed for the first time after my dog had passed, in my mind's eye, and I'm closing my eyes for those who are listening to the podcast. I also have this on my YouTube channel, so if you want to watch this podcast, you can. When I laid in bed and I closed my eyes, immediately as I lay down, my dog Scooby came up on my bed, put his head in my lap, and my hand found that beautiful groove between his eyebrows in his forehead, where I always would pet and caress, and just constantly. It was as though my hand was on his head. It was only energetic. So it was this connection that he came up, he said, I'm here for you, and I'm okay. And I know that for pet, I feel like like the air just left the room, just like I can feel all of you listening and maybe even re-experiencing your own stories. And I would love to hear them, like really, truly, knowing that they're safe, knowing that they've crossed over, and that they are with you in spirit. And that was the first time. And, about a week, that happened every single night, that he was just right there on my side, on my bed, head in my lap, hand on his head. And, I would just it was just like a constant bawling, just heavy, hard tears that came out. And so, because I am who I am and I've studied what I've studied, I got that instant knowing that he crossed over and that he was safe. And so, I would begin to check in with him, if he could come by my side and just support me for a call or something that I was feeling nervous about. Could he help make that transition easier? And so these are things that you can do too, which is call them in, just like you call in your spirit guides, just like you call in your angels, just like you call in your higher self, calling in your beloved pets from spirit. The moment that you think of them right now, they are there. They flood you with their image, their smell, their feel, a memory, playful things that make you just smile and laugh. Like when I think of my dog Scooby, and this is one of the things that he started to do for me throughout that grieving process. But then he also showed up for me on the day of my birthday. And not only to me, he actually showed up for my son, Tristan. And on my birthday, separately, I saw my dog. He came and visited me. And my son later that day said, "Oh, Mom, by the way, I thought of Scooby. He came and visited me. I think he was coming to say happy birthday to you." And I said, "Yeah, he did. And I'm so glad he came to you too." And yeah, he said happy birthday to me too. And so you might see and feel and sense your animal's presence on, holidays, special occasions, big events, things like that. And so, just like I share with talking with your spirit guides, it's the moment you call them in, they are there. And, one of the things that Scooby used to do, which is what he's reminding me of right now as I'm talking about him, is we'd go through hikes in the woods and he would pick up like tree branches or like logs, like not a stick, like a normal dog. He would get these enormous branches and run through the woods. And if we were on a path, like even a wide path, people would literally have to step aside so that they wouldn't get their knees knocked out because he was carrying this enormous tree branch. And just thinking about now, like it makes me laugh and how ridiculous it was, but it was something he always did. And I have lots and lots of photos of him with these ridiculous tree branches on these paths. So it's like he gives you these memories. So I want you to start, I use the invitation. I would invite you to start looking at these thoughts and these memories and these images and these sounds as the dog, the cat, the animal in spirit connecting with you and saying, "I'm here and I love you." And they're also here just like your guides. And maybe they are a guide now. Maybe they are becoming a spirit guide for you. So you can ask them, "Are you a spirit guide for me? Are you here?" And you'll be able to have a conversation. And just like I said before, I would narrate my dog's every move, and I still do. My current dog, Wexford, I narrate his every move. And when he has play dates, I narrate the play date. They communicate with us easily. So let that kind of easy communication, that light communication come through when you're reaching out to your animal friend. And so the way we can apply this in our business is the same. Is, if you're going into a launch period or you're second guessing yourself, asking for that loved pet in spirit to come through and to bring some ease, to show you a sign, to give you that next response that you need to know so that you can know you're making the right decision. About a week ago, we had a student clinic for the integrated energy alignment practitioners who are in training right now. And during the clinic, just before the clinic, actually, I had lost my voice. And so my team member, Amanda, I asked her if she could lead it for us and just hold the space for a little visualization process for a few minutes where we can just visualize our best business, our highest self, and see how our practice evolves. And just to hold that space. And as she opened up the meditation and held that space, I had my eyes closed, fully present, and I started to taste metal. And whenever I taste metal in sessions or not in sessions, I start to kind of ask questions like, who's coming in? Is somebody here? Because when I taste metal, it's my body's way of saying there's a loved one in spirit here. And I thought in that moment, oh, I'm probably channeling or somebody from the call, like a loved one is coming in for them to share a message or something like that. And when I asked the question, is there somebody coming in? Is there something that needs to be shared right now? It was my dog, Scooby. And in that moment, I saw his big face. Now, he was almost 100-pound dog. He was a mixed breed, kind of looked like a lab, Rhodesian, shepherd kind of mix. He was a big dog, and he smiles at me and then immediately starts licking under my chin, to the point, like, he used to do this all the time. Actually, I have a picture of him licking under my chin. It's one of my favorite pictures, because when I took the selfie, I captured like his actual tongue out and like glistening, licking my chin, and I'm smiling. And it's like that feeling I got was undeniable. And even though I wasn't expecting him to be there, when I was visualizing and holding space for my dream business, why did he come in right then? What was he telling me? So when you hear the story, you can obviously hear love and support and groundedness and adoration and hope. That's what I felt. And so as much as we can think, well, that's not really a business message, I completely saw, because the container and the intention was around business, and he showed up for me. So whether it's a spirit guide, an angel, your higher self, an animal, or a pet loved one in spirit, notice the energy that comes in with the simplistic thing that shows up for you. So like I said, it was just him smiling and licking me. But then how did it make me feel? What feeling did I get in my body, in my energy field, in my space? And when we opened our eyes after the meditation, Amanda said, all of you had these big smiles on your faces. And after we went into breakout rooms, I said to her, I go, my dog came in, and I thought it was for somebody else, like spirit coming for somebody else, but it was my dog, Scooby. And both her and my other team member, Katrina, were like, just, oh, I'm so happy. It's so great. But it stuck with me for the whole day. And so this is just an invitation to say, when we have these connections, they're undeniable. And so after our animals transition out of the physical into the energetic realm, their energy was not destroyed. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form. So I would invite you to connect with that spirit of your animal and just call them in. It doesn't have to be with the, give me my next business plan, like nothing that serious and dramatic, but just the added love and support, because I know what that little image of my dog licking me did for me for that moment and for the rest of that day. And even sharing the story here on the podcast, reliving that memory, it's like it just continues to cascade and ripple through me and you, and hopefully brings up other thoughts of your animals and your loved ones. The other way animals can come to us are in dreams. And, for folks who get a lot of messages and downloads in your dreams, you have prophetic dreams, you have really active dreams, or you're doing astral travel, or just doing lucid dreaming. Our animals can show up in dream, because really our conscious mind is the only thing that's really blocking us from connecting and seeing and feeling those animals around us now, because the logical left brain conscious mind is going, it's not here. I don't see it. It's not here. So when we go to sleep, it's all our subconscious. So it's all been there all along, and we are more open and more receptive, which is why we get these amazing downloads in dreams. We get these beautiful stories and pictures and intuitive hits in dreams, because we're finally open to it. Our brain isn't going wah, 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 all day. It's finally stopped so that the messages can kind of open up and actually come through. It's the only time we're actually receptive to it. It's all happening all the time. But, maybe at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night is when we're the most receptive, when we're in that deep sleep. Also, they can come in the shower, or especially when you're on walks or at familiar places where you used to take them or do take them. One of my really dear friends lost her dog, and we ended up going to Sedona on a retreat. And she had told me about her pet loss and, how significant it felt for her. And we were driving from Phoenix to Sedona, which is about a two-hour drive. The first stop that we made in Sedona, we pulled up to this little restaurant, which was like a vegan place, and she's vegan and gluten-free and has all these food allergies. So she got there and was like, get out of town. I can eat everything in this place. Oh my gosh, she was in heaven. And then as soon as we had that moment of like, you can literally eat everything in here, this is amazing, we look over and I see this Pomeranian. And I knew her dog was a Pomeranian. And I said, look over there, there's a Pomeranian. Do you see it? And she goes, oh my God. And she completely burst into tears. And she said to me, oh my God, she starts shaking. She's crying, she's shaking. And she said, I literally haven't seen a Pomeranian since my dog passed away. Literally have not seen one. This is the first one I've seen. And I was like, why don't we go talk to her and see if we can see the dog? And she was like, uh-huh. So we said hello. And my friend said, you know, would you mind if I pet your dog? I lost my Pomeranian. And this Pomeranian was probably like 20 pounds. Hers was like 5. So this dog was enormous. Didn't look like hers, but it did, right? And she ended up holding it and they were talking. And, you know, dog people, when we connect with each other, she shared her story and just really connected with the dog. And we said goodbyes. We ordered our food. We sat down at our table and we just were both bawling. Like, can you even believe the second we get here in Sedona, the magic is already happening. This dog is here. And the message that it's sharing for you is your dog in spirit made sure to get you here to help you with your healing journey. And this is that confirmation that you're in the right place, that you're getting the healing that you need, and that he is the one who's orchestrated every little bit of it for you because he loves you so dearly. And, you know, thinking back to that story again, I'm like, oh my God, like it touches me. And it's like, you can't make this stuff up. And we were both just like jaws dropped, almost speechless at how beautiful that moment was. And so that's the other way that, you know, we can get signs from our loved ones, whether it be just like a name, a word, a color. And even like she shared with me a picture. She brought his little lamb squeaky toy with her. And I was like, I have that. I know I have that. And so sometimes around the house, like the dog will leave it in random places and I'll take a photo and I'll send it to her like, he's with us. Because sometimes it's the most out of the blue, least expected ways that our pets are here communicating with us and sharing that love. So I hope this episode doesn't make you sad, but really makes you understand the ways in which we can connect with spirit, whether it be our loved ones, our family members, our friends that have passed away, or connecting with, and especially with our loved ones that are animals in spirit, and how we can connect with their energy to bring us support, bring us love, bring us those flashes of joy, and be able to help support us in our alignment to be able to impact others from a positive place. Again, if you enjoyed this episode, I know it's a little bit different than I normally do, but I think it's worth talking about when we have an opening for love. I don't know any other opening for love greater than the love of animals. I guess my children, I suppose my children cracked me open too, but I think my first, you know, real experience and encounter beyond like human connection, was my first dog. And then now my current dog, and now my goats and chickens and ducks. I don't love my chickens and ducks as much. I fully admit that, but like, I love animals. And if you're an animal lover too, I think this episode should help open up that next level of intuition and spirit communication. So anyway, please flood my Instagram, tag me, show me your fur babies, and let me know if this episode resonated with you. We have a lot of great stuff going on in the business right now. I've been doing the Business and Soul Alignment Experience. That's been going spectacularly well. If you haven't participated in one, it's a free workshop. You're going to learn about your energy field and how it impacts your business alignment, and how you can get your business in alignment with your energy field so you can serve from your highest level, fulfill your highest potential in alignment, feeling your best. I've also been teaching my brand new chakra intensive workshop, which I totally geek out about. I absolutely love that. Grab your ticket to that. We'll have all that information in the show notes. And if you would like to work with me privately, I do have a couple openings for either one-on-one sessions. I have VIP days available, where it's much more in depth than a single session. And then I also have the Sunday Healing Circle, which you can be within a small group of 10 people once every month or every other month, depending. But you can check the schedule for those healing circles. It's a really great way to get close attention, deep healing with me at a fraction of the cost of what it's like to work with me one-on-one. So I'll leave all those links in the show notes below. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing your beautiful fur babies. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, wonderful month ahead. And thanks for listening to the Aligned and Unstoppable podcast. Always love to hear your reviews. Leave a 5-star review over on iTunes or your favorite listening platform, and share this one with a friend. Thanks for being here. Lots of love to you.